That's an interesting. What a world if zombie fingers become the currency, not bottle caps like in Fallout.
Yeah.
It's zombie fingers.
Yeah, 7-finger salary.
I want a 7-finger salary.
Hey, welcome to episode 187 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Fabian.
Hello.
And
Back.
Blake.
Hey,
How's it going, guys?
good.
You're new Paul now.
I'm filling Paul.
That technically makes you new Severn.
New Severn.
Okay.
What's your stance on GTA?
It's good.
Yeah, that passes.
Yep.
Yep.
This is my favorite game.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. It was like he's in the room with us again.
It is.
Uh,
He's in the room.
You guys been playing stuff?
I've been playing some stuff.
I play stuff too.
Yeah. Have you been playing stuff,
I've been
Nick?
playing some stuff.
Yeah.
Should we jump into some questions first?
Let's do that first.
All right. This is from Aiden Sichi 9327. Here's a question for Blake. Semicolon, the art man. I know I love a semicolon. What is a stronger pull for you artistically in a game? Hyper-realistic graphics that depict a world in crystal clear detail, in brackets, the absolute best Orks you've ever seen, or something that represents a hyper-cohesive art direction? I think that the current glut of Unreal Engine games show off an insane commitment to realism, but have noticed that it's rare to encounter games with strong artistic direction throughout. Funnily enough, I think Elden Ring, all other issues aside, is an example of a game with a ludicrously cohesive artistic language. But speaking of games with strong artistic direction, anyone played Space Marine 2? Well,
You have played Space Marine.
I have.
As
there's
well.
basically two questions in there.
Yeah.
Question one, Blake, what's up with art?
What's up with that? I think that so a cohesive art style, I think, is more important. But striving for realism is the thing that is like pushing all the tech.
This is true.
And also striving for realism is a thing that like it's a good goal because like everyone knows what reality looks like, hopefully. And so like striving for that's the bar that you're trying to hit. The bar is clearly set, and that is the thing that is like pushing all the technology, whereas a cool art style will just kind of be timeless. You won't have to worry about something that looked realistic 10 years ago. Definitely doesn't.
No.
It ages way faster.
Yes.
But it is the thing that is pushing all this like crazy art tech.
Yes. It's an interesting one because basically what you said is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like, I think personally, it's unless your game requires it, I think it's always a mistake to go for absolute realism. Because for the exact reason you say, which is that your game ages badly.
Yeah.
Wind Waker is a great example. Wind Waker versus Twilight Princess. Talking Zelda, we always talk Zelda. I specifically always talk Zelda. Wind Waker, when it first was announced, people were like, "What is this art style? I wanted a hyper-realistic, gritty Zelda," and still looks great today.
Yeah, that hyper-realistic, gritty Zelda would look terrible today.
Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But
But
then,
you also raised the point that generally the benchmark for graphical fidelity is realism. I can't really think of a game where it's like, have you seen the graphics? These graphics are insane. It looks nothing like realistic graphics.
Yeah, I know. Because then it's just like some stylized, something or other. And you're like, yeah, that looks cool. And then that just always will look cool.
The closest I could say is maybe Cyberpunk, which kind of, it's not realistic. Like the people don't look like real people.
They look like cyberpunks.
Yeah, but they're not going for like ultra realistic.
Well, there's when you go ultra realistic, there is lots of different like facets to that, right? Like there's ultra realistic characters.
Yeah,
that is each one of these things is basically its entire own massive department of like people will just work.
Studio.
Yeah,
Yes.
will like someone will just work on hyper realistic characters
Yeah.
for their entire life, you know, and then other people will work on hyper realistic rocks, you know, or whatever. But yeah, that insane characters is like its own thing, and it's like getting all like I that what was that game? Cena's Sacrifice, I think.
What?
Or
Hellblade, the second Hellblade.
Yeah, Hellblade. Yeah. So that is striving for like realistic environments and realistic people. But I don't know, I feel like often it's like one or the other. I think, because it's a lot of investment in either one. And then some people are just like, look, we can, like Cyberpunk, for example, their world is like pretty well created,
Yeah.
you know, fairly realistically. But their people are very wax figure kind of looking.
But I also think, I don't know if I even agree with that necessarily. The cyberpunk world is beautiful, but I wouldn't call it.
You don't think that's realistic?
I don't know that I would call it realistic. I mean, it's saturated.
It's aiming for a realism for sure, but it's also a thing of like, look, there is no cyberpunk. There was no Night City to benchmark this off.
Probably
You've got
most,
like Blade Runner to look at, but
the most like realistic game I can think of recently is probably I don't know if you've seen it, Body Cam. It's like a
that
Unreal Engine,
Right, the shooter.
Yeah.
super nice lighting.
Yeah.
That game.
that does a thing where it looks real because the footage looks like it's a VHS, doesn't it? If it's the one I'm thinking of, it looks
Yeah, I guess-
grainy almost, but it looks like body cam footage.
Yeah,
You know, so there's a level of like it's not like hyper crisp. It's not full.
The
HD,
resolution is
like,
intentionally a bit.
Yeah.
reduced.
It's like the back
Cameras
rooms.
are a bit.
Yep.
Like the back rooms and Kane Pixels stuff. That can look like pretty real, but it's also because it's got this like VHS filter on it.
Yeah.
It sort of fakes.
It's going for a
You
style.
you can't see a lot of the flaws are just hidden by this, you know.
Yep.
But it's still, if you're looking at it, like I've shown that to people, and they were like, "How did they film this? Like, where did they film this?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's all 100% 3D."
Yeah.
But it just has that vibe of realism.
Yeah. Yeah, because you accept that there's realism being masked by
Yeah.
the flaws of
Yeah.
the medium.
It's almost like your brain fills in the
Yeah.
rest. It's like
Yeah.
watching just an old VHS tape,
Yeah.
you know. And when you
Wow.
were a kid, you're like, "Oh, this was crystal clear," but it clearly isn't. You know, it's almost like your brain just
Yeah.
fills in the gaps.
Yeah. So the other part of this question is, anyone played Space Marine 2?
Yep.
Yep. Go ahead.
Currently playing it. Been playing it since it launched. Man,
Thoughts?
great game. Great game.
Okay.
Nice, visceral. You really feel like you're just in the thick of it in
Yeah.
the action.
It's like a horde shooter, right? Like
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
Left 4 Dead.
So it's made by Saber Interactive, who are the same people that made the World War Z game, and that's where they kind of pioneered the horde tech that they were working
Gotcha. Yeah.
on. This does the same thing. Lots of like horde stuff going on and things like that.
Sure.
When the
It's,
game,
it's kind of like, I mean, I haven't played it, but I've seen a little bit of video.
Yep.
And it reminds me of Helldivers, just in terms of like the sort of gameplay style.
I see that comparison,
but maybe
I think it's
characters are a
very
little less
different.
flimsy.
Yes, it's quite different. Like Helldivers is very much land on a whole planet
Yeah.
and just kind of sandboxy.
Yeah.
And this is more pick a mission, linear mission,
Okay.
lots of enemies and stuff coming
Yep.
at you, things like that. When the game first came out, there was a little bit of weirdness with combat. Like you kind of felt really squishy.
Okay.
But they addressed that in one of the most recent patches where now you can pretty much just parry anything and it gives you back armor. So
Okay.
in the middle of a big horde, you can just keep parrying the little guys
Mm-hmm.
and just keep your armor and keep the flow going.
That seems imbalanced.
But
Intentionally keep
it turns it more based into skill, because if
Yeah.
you don't parry in time, you're going to still get hit, which means
Sure.
your armor's going to get shredded. So it ends up becoming like a keep your eye on every enemy that's attacking while you're attacking the big guy.
But could you not feasibly then, like as a tactic, keep little guys around specifically to increase your opportunities to parry?
Yep.
So that if you miss a parry against the big guy, you don't get one shot.
Yep. But if you miss time your parry by a big guy, you're going to get thrown backwards
Right.
and be staggered. And then when you're staggered, you can't
You're not
really do
gonna
anything
get
else.
owned
So
by all the other guys.
it becomes a risk reward type gameplay
see.
rather
Okay.
than just risk all the time.
Sure. And is linear missions randomness? Any randomness, or is it just like these are all predefined?
They're pretty much predefined. There's a little bit of randomness as you like play on the high difficulties, you might have, while you're waiting for some objective, there might be one extra thing that you got to do before
Sure.
you finish that objective.
Okay.
But otherwise, yeah, they pretty much run through the same.
Cool.
Yeah, that's good though.
Yeah.
Good fun. Gameplay's fun. Like stuff like playing. I think there's only like 6 or 7 missions.
Mhm.
Man, that just doesn't bother me.
And the graphics?
Excellent. Yep. Really nice. Like leaning into what was said before about like realism and stylization. This is kind of a nice hybrid between both.
Yeah.
It's stylized enough, but it looks really good too.
The footage I saw, there were like thousands of monsters flying around in the skies.
Yep.
There are monsters piling up on each other to climb up cliffs.
Yep.
It looks really cool.
Yep.
The horde tech is
Yeah,
particularly
it's a real spectacle.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's neat.
How's the world building in it? How's the like
I mean, that's
the
great.
setting, right? Is
That's great. They've got years and years of Warhammer lore. Like I've always been interested in Warhammer, but never really jumped into it. So
Yep.
this is really my first taste of the lore and all that stuff.
oh yeah,
And I don't feel like I'm out of place and I don't know what's going on. So that's really
that's
good.
good. Yeah, yeah.
There's like a good setting for the story and explaining stuff. And it's kind of made me more intrigued to actually dive deeper into the lore and find out more stuff. And
That's the best then.
Yep.
Because that, like you said, there's like years and years, decades of lore
Yep.
that you could easily just feel like you're drowning in. Like you jump in there and, all this exposition is on you that you're expected to kind of like know because, you're a Warhammer fan. So coming away being like, actually, I've got a taste of it and I want to know more. That's the
That's exactly
best
what you
thing that
want.
you'd want. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's pretty much like that. The story is set up where the main character is like, I don't even know what this is because I haven't looked into it, but he's
Yeah.
part of something called the Death Watch, and that's for the very first mission.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets almost killed and then gets remade as an Astartes
Right.
Warhammer Marine
Yep.
thing. So I don't even know what that is. But basically that's the blank slate. He's
Yep.
now someone, he's got to forge his path.
Oh, cool.
This is his like
Yeah.
final chance kind
Yeah.
of thing. So yeah, it's quite cool.
Have you looked up any extra stuff since?
I've been trying to listen to like lore videos at work,
Oh,
but man, there's a lot to take in. There's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recently listened to a thing about the Tyranids.
Yep.
Very fascinating.
Yeah, like you fight Tyranids, and I didn't realize what these Chaos Marine dudes were when I was playing it.
Oh,
So I had
yeah.
to like research that to find out why they were made of dust.
Wait, what?
You like rip their helmet off, and all this like space magic comes out of them.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that there's these big kind of mech dudes called dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I hope like I get to play or like get to drive in one of those when I'm playing.
Yeah.
And then I read the lore that dude's like implanted
Yeah.
into that
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that he's
Oh,
it's not a vehicle.
Yeah, it's
I
not a
don't, I don't
vehicle,
want
it's
to play
him.
as that anymore.
Yeah, that is him.
Yeah.
He is that thing. So
Interesting.
really cool. Super cool game.
There's a cool like I went down a little bit of a path of reading some Warhammer stuff, and there's a fairly recent race added that is I can't remember their name, but they're basically considered like a minor race, but a lot of their stuff, like a lot of their stories and stuff, is basically discovering the horrors of humanity and what humanity has become through their eyes.
Okay.
Like they're almost seen as like they're kind of written in a way that it's like us currently, like the
Yeah.
human race, what we might be in like 500 years or something like that, and we're
Yeah.
just plucky adventurers going out into the
Yeah.
galaxy and seeing what's
And they're
there,
like, "Oh,
and then just
no.
meeting the
Oh,
horrors.
no.
Yeah.
What have they done?
Yeah, and there was one where they mentioned one of those dreadnoughts.
Yep.
Where like they managed to take one down and opened it up and were just like horrified by the thing that is
Yep.
like inside, and then they realize that this thing is like thousands of years old or something, and it's just
Yep.
like it's just like their minds are just exploding with like
Yeah.
how terrible like basically humans are.
Can we
Yeah.
can we stop being space age? Can we go back to just
let's maybe just go back.
Hit the rewind.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's really cool. The campaign was like really enjoyable. It kind of like starts really gritty, boots on the ground military,
Yeah.
and then as the campaign progresses, it gets way more space
Oh,
magic-y.
that's so cool.
I was like, that's cool. Like you're just seeing all
Yeah.
these crazy shit going on.
That's cool.
It's real cool.
How much longevity is there, do you think? Because
I've put 70 or so hours in.
oh, that's good.
What? It's only been out for like 2 weeks.
It was 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Something like
it came
that.
out real not that long ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
2, maybe 3 at the most.
Oh, there you go. That's how
But,
enjoyable
yeah.
it is.
My goodness.
Is there? So you play through the campaign.
Yep.
Is there stuff to do after?
After campaign, you can do what's called operations, which are the like linear missions.
Yep.
And that's the stuff you do with people online.
Oh, okay.
Or with bots.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's 4 difficulties, and you pretty much you can progress your character from the first difficulty up,
Mm.
and as you go up, you're unlocking new weapons and better versions of your weapon.
So if you're playing with people online, are you choosing a class at some point?
Yeah. So there's 7 classes, I think.
Do you choose that at the start of the campaign?
No, in the campaign there's no classes.
Ah,
You can
okay.
just use every weapon,
Yeah.
do everything, and you've got one ability. In operations, there's 7 classes, and they've each got a different ability and different like a loadout.
Yep.
So there's one called the Bulwark. He's got like a huge shield.
Oh
He
yeah,
uses
yeah,
a shield and a melee weapon mostly.
Yep.
So he doesn't have access to a primary gun.
Yep.
And there's other ones like I've just been playing the sniper, and he's the only one that has access to the like sniper rifle type weapons.
Yep.
But he's also got a cloak, so he can go invisible.
Oh, cool.
So yes, it's cool. They've each got their own roles and
Yeah.
stuff like that, which is really neat.
That sounds like then like an extraction shooter.
Yeah,
At that point, like
but you're not extracting anything because you don't go back, right? You're
You don't
moving
extract. You
forward.
just
don't extract?
go through the whole mission and then mission finished.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and through
So-
the middle of the mission,
yeah.
you might randomly get a boss that spawns, and you got to kill the boss, and that'll
Yeah.
give you.
It still
Sounds-
sounds very much like what was that one I was playing?
Darktide?
Darktide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I guess
Because
it's similar.
you had
I
I was
played
playing
Darktide.
as some melee character, yeah, that had a shield and a melee weapon and didn't
Yep.
have a gun. Like, and it sounds kind of
Yeah, and you finish that mission, and that's it. You get your XP, and
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. similar to that.
That's cool.
It's really good though.
Do you know if there's any plans for like more?
Yeah, they've got like
stuff?
a whole roadmap until I think mid 2025 so far is what they've
Oh,
shown.
cool.
So there's a season pass thing coming
Yeah.
soon. Some Dark Angels, I don't know what those are, but some armor color thing for them.
Yep. Probably something with power armor, I bet.
Yeah, people are talking like
I
I see all
take
the
a wild
stuff.
guess.
See all the stuff about the Astartes chapters and like I don't know, Hell Marines or whatever, and Blood Angels. I'm like,
Yep.
I don't know what that is. I just pick the colors I like. Yeah.
Talking about also weird Warhammer lore. Do you know how the orcs
I love the orcs.
work?
Do I know how the orcs work?
Yeah. Do you know
Well,
how the
there's,
orcs
there's
work?
blood inside, and
No.
Yeah, sort of.
What is that question exactly?
Well, here's the thing. Okay,
Let me tell you.
there's two things that was the big surprise for me. One is that the orcs are more like fungus.
what?
They don't reproduce like an animal. They grow out of the ground in pods and they pop up like fungus. They're basically considered like a fungus. Like these spores, they release spores into the atmosphere and they grow underground in pods and then they pop up and they just like full adults ready to fight.
So they're like the orcs from Lord of the Rings. They're
They're
in the
basically
ground.
like the Uruk-hai that just come out of the mud.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? That was my reaction. I was like, what the hell?
Sure.
And the other thing is that they have a like psychic thing that they're not even really aware of, but they have this collective psychic thing that like, if they paint something red, that means it's strong, and so
Okay.
that thing will be strong.
okay.
If somebody cobbles together like a vehicle and they believe it's going to work,
yeah.
it will work.
What?
If a human then tries to drive that vehicle, it'll probably just fall apart because it doesn't make any sense. It's like they have this like power of belief.
They've all read The Secret.
Yeah, they've all read The Secret, but it also works against them as well because they'll fight.
Right. If they feel like they're losing, then they're gonna lose.
Yeah, they'll
Right, okay.
yeah, and they'll fight like
yeah, they manifest.
they manifest
in
their
the
thing.
style of The Secret.
Yeah, but it straight up is like The Secret. They have The
They
Secret.
visualize it. They write it down.
Yeah.
They-
They make a vision board and look at it every night. But if they're fighting against an enemy that is like painted blue, like one of the Space Marine chapters or whatever, they will be like, oh, they're really fast, and so those Space Marines will just become faster.
What?
Like it works against them. Or if they're red, they're stronger, so they'll be stronger. You know, it'll work against them as well as working for them.
Okay.
That
And
sounds
it's
like
like
a bad battle tactic.
well, I don't think that it's like this thing they don't
They
even
can't control
don't
it,
even know
yeah.
that they're doing it. That's just what they do. That's why all their spaceships look like they shouldn't be able to fly, but they get put together by
By Fungus Boys.
by fungus boys, by a certain faction within them that are like the tech boys, I think, or something like that. They put them together, and everyone's like, "Well, this guy made it, so it must work." And it just works. And then if a human faction tried to pilot one of their ships, it would just
Explode immediately.
explode immediately.
I love that. The snippets I know about Warhammer lore are really out there in a great glorious way. I know, for example, that the Emperor of
Yeah.
Warhammer can take any form, apparently,
Can he?
including multiple forms. I think at
Oh.
once or something. I don't know. So like canonically, whatever you think the Emperor should look like is what the Emperor will look like.
Oh, weird.
And like the whole point is that the Emperor like will appease you.
Yeah.
I guess, or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
Like at this point, there's probably a Warhammer fan out there listening, going,
Oh, yeah.
"What are you talking about?"
I reckon write in
Yes,
about
please
all
tell
your
me how-
corrections.
Tell
to
us
what
how
we just
wrong
said.
we are.
I don't know anything about the Eldar, but I know
other than space elves, right?
yeah, they're space elves, and I remember like I played Warhammer. What was it was like the RTS from 2010.
Yeah.
Chaos.
Was it Dawn? No, was it Dawn?
Dawn of War. Yeah.
Dawn
no.
of War. Was it Dawn of War? No.
No.
What was it?
I don't know.
Dawn of War 2, I think, is the one I played.
Yeah.
This is literally my first foray into Warhammer.
What
I
was
only
it?
know
I'm
what's
looking
in
at
this
you. You're
game.
playing Space Marine. What was that? What was that Warhammer game that came out 15 years ago?
It was really good though. Like
Yeah.
it was like very tactical.
You had to take
It was-
points, right? Is that
Exactly,
the- yeah,
capturing
yeah, yeah.
points, and like you didn't produce a lot of units. I don't think
Mm.
you even made buildings, from what I remember. It was all
In Dawn of War 2, you didn't make buildings.
you just
I
you
think.
capture buildings
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
and utilize them
Yeah.
until they were captured back. And I remember the Eldar felt very magical
Hmm.
and kind of future LV.
Hmm.
It's cool. I also played, I think, a Might and Magic version of
Really?
Warhammer.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well-
Am I inventing that right
No,
now?
you might not be, because for a long time, Warhammer. Who owns it? Was it the
Games
Coast?
Workshop?
Games
Workshop,
Workshop. Yeah. They were just licensing out to whoever, you know,
Yeah.
and you would end up with like some real like banger games,
Yeah.
and then end up with some real dud
Yeah.
games. You know, it was real like hit and miss a lot.
Yeah.
And I think they've sort of tightened that up now, so they're just like actually,
Oh yeah, they were
Yeah.
complaining about one of the freaking leg armors or something slightly being off compared to the model.
yeah, okay.
It-
I was like, all
I
right.
think but it's funny. There are essentially, as far as I know, two completely different Warhammers that share the same universe. There's Warhammer, and
Yeah.
there's Warhammer 40k.
I don't
And
know if
40k
they-
is the one that everyone's playing.
I don't know if they share the same universe.
I'm pretty sure they do, and the difference is 40,000 years.
I know that was the intention at the start, but I don't know if that's true anymore.
Well,
It seems like 40K
Although they
is
have
the
all-
that's
one.
like being
They
like,
have all the
there's
same-
Warcraft, and then there's World of Warcraft, and they're different.
They are though.
No, they're not.
I'm pretty sure they're different games. No, it's like StarCraft and Warcraft. They'd be like they're different because they are.
Yeah, but they are. Yes,
Yeah.
because they have
But-
different names.
Yeah. What am I trying to say?
If it
You-
was,
you- you-
if it was
you might be
Warcraft
right.
and then Warcraft 40k and it has Zerg and
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
then I'd be like, okay. I don't know. I think anyway, the way the orcs talk, I
Yeah.
love the way the orcs talk.
Oh yeah,
There's good writing in those games.
they're great.
Should we go on to-
I would love someone to write in and say, is Warhammer and Warhammer 40k related?
Yeah, we're not going to Google
Because
it.
I really think I really think they aren't anymore. Like I think maybe they start. I definitely know that the intention was that they were at the start, but I feel like their laws have drifted so far apart.
Well, frontseatquestions@gmail.com. Tell us if Warhammer and Warhammer 40k are in a unified universe or if they are different universes. I feel like they're different. I feel like they're in a unified universe, just 40,000 years apart. That's a lot of time.
That is a lot of time.
That is so
Yeah,
much
because
time.
one's medieval style and one's future space, right?
Yeah, one's like
Yeah.
traditional
And they-
fantasy and one's
Yeah.
sci-fi.
They all have like chaos and all that sort of stuff. There is the same. There is the
They
same
have the
stuff
same
going
factions
around.
too.
Yeah.
Like the orcs.
Where are the dwarves in 40k? Are they dwarves?
I haven't seen a dwarf.
Humans probably killed them all off.
They're all underground.
Oh,
They're not gonna go to space. They don't go up. They go down.
They're still doing Warhammer, just regular
Yeah,
Warhammer.
yeah.
They're doing Dwarf Fortress Warhammer.
Well, they're the ones mining all the metal that the humans use.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
I'm telling you, my money is on. It's actually separate. But did
How much money? We're not
40k?
Okay, I'm out. Should we go on to another question?
Yep.
Okay, this is from Sam. This is on topic of developer intent. He said, "Hi all. I don't think Nick is right because an option is in a game, it is an intended play experience that should be supported. It's totally reasonable to include an offline mode for people who might want to play the game without access to the internet, like people who work on ships and can be on deployment for weeks at a time. That doesn't necessarily change that playing online is the intended experience. It's just an accessibility option. And these days, more and more games are online only, which is a worrying trend. I'd much rather have more games like Elden Ring that give you the option for offline, even if it's suboptimal, than straight up not be able to play the game. Anyways, love the podcast. Regards, Sam. I see where you're coming from. I stand by what I said. Put it this way. Let's say you're colorblind and you use a colorblind mode, and the colorblind mode makes everything brown.
Yeah.
That's not a good experience.
Yeah.
That can't be the developer's intent. I mean, maybe it is the developer's intent to make it worse for colorblind people. But my opinion, and this is for context, Fabian.
I think this is what Blake was telling me about during the week.
Yeah, for context, I am of the opinion that the Dark Soulsy community-based notes are a crutch that get around developers not providing, for example, visual clues or narrative clues or whatever it is that get the player over the finish line. And that playing in an offline mode makes some of those games near impossible to play to completion.
Yep. But I say that is part of the design. It's not a crutch. It's actually they're not using
that
it
may
as a
be,
crutch.
but as previously mentioned, they've provided an offline mode that disable those things.
yeah.
Right? You cannot have these
Yeah.
community notes. So there is a mode where you play without these things.
You did mention, so you did make me think about this, and because they do have their own notes that they put down, and it's in the tutorial zone. It's like try jumping, and you're like, okay, jump, whatever. And there's
some lore based notes.
Yeah, there's some lore based stuff. So they do have the ability to do that, and that means that they would have the ability to place specific blood splats.
Yeah.
So they can add a little bit of that in the offline mode.
Yep.
While still having just more of it in the online mode.
And if they do that, then cool.
Yeah.
And if they don't do that, well, I stand by my point that they have provided an experience that they do not adequately support.
But then I think they also are like, this game is often about like the jump scare. The thing happens that you don't intend.
That's
and
fine.
you okay, that's fine.
There's a difference between a jump scare
Yeah.
and an invisible walkway. Right?
Yep.
I don't have a problem with it.
There's a difference between a jump scare and a wall you have to hit 50 times to walk through it.
Yeah. I don't know how. I need to look into that invisible walkway because I know that I discovered it from the blood splats that are on the floating invisible thing. And like maybe there must have been something in the environment that gave that, because that is Dark Souls leaning too heavily into the unfairness in my
Oh, and they've never done that before.
All
their games
they are often
so
very
fair.
They are often very fair.
No, they're
People complain
not.
about things like, oh, the slime's on the roof that will fall on your head and kill you. Well, just like look up, man. Like look at have your wits
But
about
what
you.
tells you to look up?
Nothing.
So
Like
there's-
nothing needs to
I
tell you to
remember-
look up.
I remember in the Portal
Yeah.
audio commentary.
Yeah.
Did you know this was a thing?
No.
Okay.
While you're playing the game?
If you got the orange box,
Yeah.
you could play Portal with an audio commentary.
Yeah.
So basically, you'd play the game, and there'd be little like floating dialogue boxes, and you could activate
That's
them.
neat.
And a developer would tell you about that section.
Hmm.
And there was a part where they were like, we had to redesign this room like 50 times because we wanted to put the box up high, but it's really hard to get a player to look up. It's a classic game design problem of getting a player to look up. It is let me repeat this. It is a classic problem to get a player to look up, which means a developer has to take steps to make a player look up. This is a problem that Valve knew about in 2007.
Yeah.
It was a classic problem. Classic problem in 2007. It is 2024.
Yeah.
And you're saying, just look up.
Yeah.
Just always be looking up.
Always be looking up. Always be checking corners.
What about the lobsters that rise out of the ground?
Just be careful.
You can't be looking up and down at the same time.
Just do a full 360 constantly.
Just wear one of those cameras that do the whole.
No,
it's like
the lobsters.
globe camera.
I never got jumped by one of those lobsters because I'm riding by.
Just you make your character the Google Earth car.
Yeah.
The one, the one with the 360 view.
Yeah. I think like they know about that these problems.
And then they choose to ignore them.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's to me.
You say, oh, that's bad design. I say that is the intent.
It doesn't make it good.
Game of the year.
You know what?
Game of the year. Wasn't
Kaizo
it?
Mario. It's the designer's intent to kill Mario at every opportunity. That doesn't make the game good.
Right.
It makes it hard. It makes it punishing.
I think. Well,
makes it cruel.
I think this is the reason why it's so popular, though, is because it forces. There's a gamer that just loves that sort of thing. That look, I don't feel like I'm being handheld at all. I feel like I need to just look for every. Like I walk into a new environment, I got to check ceilings, corners, behind doors. Like I got to be careful,
Yeah.
And
so you're saying it's a really good game?
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
have
great.
you beaten it?
I don't need to.
Okay. Hang on, real quick. Why haven't you beaten it?
It got a bit frustrating.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
Not super fun the whole time. Getting punished.
Not super fun the whole time.
Weird.
It was pretty fun.
Did you beat it?
I put 160 hours into it.
Did you beat it?
Yep, twice.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I done it once in New Game Plus.
Finally,
I got
someone-
halfway through a
finally
New Game
somebody
Plus,
else.
and I was like, "Why am I still doing this?" In fact, here's the thing: it was much easier on New Game Plus because I started playing a melee character. Everyone was complaining about how overpowered spellcasters are. No. Melee characters are OP AF. Anyway.
I don't think you should use me and my completion of games as a bar.
But I should still listen to your opinion about it.
Yes, because I mean I'm like notorious for not finishing games. So you can't
unless
be
it's-
like, hey,
This
hey, look,
is
I've not
true.
finished Zelda. Is that a good game?
Yeah, perfect game.
I've not finished it though. So
Wait till you play the Zelda management sim.
oh, now we're talking.
That actually sounds amazing.
Manage
Now-
Hyrule.
Now I'm thinking about.
You could be rebuilding the kingdom.
No, I think you'd just be running a shop in Hyrule.
Oh.
Like, that sounds really cool. And you have to keep plying the hero with goods and services, and you have to keep restocking.
You are that traveling salesman.
Yeah, the mask guy.
The bug guy.
The bug
Beetle.
guy? Oh,
yeah,
Beetle.
the beetle
yeah.
guy.
Oh, man. Actually,
And you
that
just
sounds-
travel around with that giant backpack
Oh, my goodness.
Selling crap.
selling bugs and lizards.
There's actually... This sounds awesome. I'm sorry. This sounds like a really fun game.
I always like his shop that it's just like it's just him with a giant backpack and he has this like little like board that he flips up and it's like that's his shop countertop, but he's just standing there. I think it's very funny.
All I'm saying is, if they provide a mode, that should be that in my opinion is a developer's endorsement of that mode.
So what if
If
you're
it
the
was a-
first person to play the game?
That's a great question. We've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get relentlessly punished for it.
I didn't get that punished.
You weren't the first person to play that game.
No, but I didn't play online either. So I don't have
you,
all the
you didn't
blood
have
split.
any of the clues.
No.
Okay, and you finished it. Did you do the invisible walkway down to the Halleck tree?
Did all that stuff. I didn't find it on my own.
How did you figure that stuff out?
I didn't. I just know there's secrets. It's like when I was a kid playing games that didn't hold your hand.
Yeah.
I would play through the game and then I'd be like, what else is there? Go and find out.
Now you said you've played about 160 hours,
Correct.
and you've beaten it twice.
Yes.
Presumably, the second time you played it and beat it was a lot faster.
Way faster.
Yeah, so that means you probably spent 120 hours the first time beating it.
Yep. But in my 120 hours, I was collecting everything. Getting every item, everything. 100%ing it.
Oh, you know what? I'm glad you liked the game.
What was that's actually
I still
fascinating to
think
me.
it is a overly punishing experience if you don't have the clues. Also, the clues are unreliable. at
I would
best.
say it's fine. It's overly punishing. Not every game should be for every person, and not every game should be casualized either.
I agree.
Yep.
But there's a difference between casual and unfair, or punishing and unfair.
I didn't find it punishing and unfair though.
Did you play
parts
the
are punishing?
expansion?
No, I haven't played the expansion yet. But what parts do you think were punishing and unfair?
That's a good question. I would say there were some bosses and some moments where they take you by surprise.
Mhm.
After you are too far to be able to recover your souls, they kill you, and then you cannot get your souls back. So, for example, there is a part in the capital.
Mhm.
You're going down like the main walkway,
Yep.
and then one of those like tree guardians drops down out of the sky.
Yep.
By the way, there's no tree there. Where does he come from? He just falls from the sky.
Yep.
And then you die probably because you weren't expecting him to be in the middle of a city. There's no tree. Usually these guys are in front of trees.
Yep.
And then to get your souls back, you have to like either get lucky, run in, grab them, run out, or you just die and lose them forever.
Yeah, but I mean, souls are easy to get too.
You know what is also weird? There's a part there's like a castle where you fight it's the castle where you eventually fight the giant guy on the tiny horse. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a giant who stands outside the castle if you try and go through the traditional entrance.
Mm-hmm.
When I first played it, the giant fell down and died.
Oh wow, really?
Yep, he just fell from the sky and died, and I got his souls.
Great.
Not overly punishing then.
Yeah.
No,
pretty
but,
easy.
but pretty weird, right?
Pretty weird.
Pretty weird, pretty janky.
Is that a bug or is that intended? I don't know.
No, it was a bug.
With this game, who knows?
That's definitely a bug.
I had a bug like that when I was playing Space Marine. There's like these little trial missions for each of the character classes.
Uh-huh.
And I was running forward before the pop-up came up.
Yep.
To tell you the tutorial. I closed it and the enemy just jumps off the edge of the walkway that he's on. I was like, all right, finished.
Wow.
Done. That was easy. I mean, it
yeah.
happens. It's gaming.
Yeah, look, I'm just saying, sometimes things fall out of the sky and die. Sometimes things fall out of the sky and kill you.
Yep.
There was, so I mean, you're talking about why I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
The part that I kind of got tired of was this is not even far into the game, but it's getting to the mage boss.
The one inside of the I think lane. No,
The lake.
Leon of the Lakes.
Yeah,
the
and like
big magical.
that boss was fine, but I was just getting. I felt like it with those two phases.
Mm,
You're talking about Renala.
yeah.
Yeah, annoyed the hell out of me. Those two phases
Oh, and so not the perfect game.
annoyed the hell out of me, and that wouldn't be so bad. That wouldn't be so bad because I could do that, but the run to it was also annoying thing.
Yeah.
You know the key to doing that? Just don't die.
Just don't die.
Just
I
don't
tried
die.
that, and then I was like, I'm going to go somewhere else. And I feel like I just ran out of steam somewhere along the way.
Look, I would say that this we've talked about this in the past, but the strongest thing in Elden Ring is the exploration of some of those dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
The first dungeon, Stormvale, is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's cool. I
Sounds-
explored that
it's
all over the place.
Awesome, climbing up on those roofs, feeling like you're getting into places you shouldn't be getting to, and then finding
Yeah.
something. That's awesome. But they pretty quickly lose that feeling. Like by the time you get to the Volcano Manor, I think is what it's called.
Oh yeah.
There's like not really a lot of exploration to do. There's a couple spots,
Right.
but it all feels a bit like you're being guided there. And then like the capital, there's almost no like you can jump on some of the roofs, and a lot of them don't have anything up there, and it's just like, okay, I guess there's not a lot to do. It's weird. The game kind of gets more and more linear the further you go. I did the Howling Tree, which is like, I guess, an optional dungeon, and there was almost no exploration. There was like one or two like sort of side paths, and then every time I thought, oh, I'm going in a secret place I'm not meant to be going, it's like, oh, actually no, this is the main path. This is, and there was actually no other option. Like that door I thought I could go into, you couldn't go.
Yeah. I ended up like just exploring around because I was like, I'm going to take a break from this boss. And I just basically explored everywhere I possibly could. And I found some interesting stuff. There was that that village that what is it? There's that like madness. There's like some madness aura thing that like
the thing where if you're looking at it, you just start dying.
Yeah,
and that's fun.
That's pretty wild.
Such a fun mechanic. I love that one. I loved how they told you about it, Oh wait, did they tell you? No, they didn't.
I
say
don't think they
anything
did,
about
but
it?
you figure it out. You figure it
You
out.
figured out by running and dying like 14
well,
times.
that's the game. The game is not. You're not supposed to die. The game, like death is part of the game.
Okay, but
It's part of it.
Embrace death.
Yeah.
You're gonna fail.
Yeah.
But
You
how
just
many-
And
gotta
also, you're
learn.
going to lose your souls. You do get to a certain point where you're just like, look, I'm not going to, I got to stop caring so much about losing souls because you do just like, we'll just gain them back. You know, it's the game sort of just like teaches you to stop
Leveling up isn't
to stop caring.
caring about the soul so much.
leveling
Stop
up
caring
isn't
about being
that
alive.
important. I think
Mm.
that's leveling up isn't that important. Souls aren't. They are important, but they're not that important.
Oh, they're really.
You can get them easily. Once
What?
you can get
Look,
souls
it does
well easily.
It does feel bad when you lose a whole bunch, but the thing is, like, well, what I was doing is that basically as soon as I had enough to level up, I would level up. That's
Mhm.
it, you know. And then if I wouldn't worry too much about losing them unless I was like really close to a level. And then if I'm really close to a level, I am not going to go into some unknown area. I will go to somewhere else and be like, oh, I'm only like a few, 1,000 souls or 100 souls away from leveling up. I'll just kill these monsters that I already know.
Oh, you're gonna grind.
Yeah, just a little. Just a little bit of grinding is fine.
But how often do you do it? Like every level?
Not every level, but any time that I'm like, when I'm entering a new area and I'm like, what are my souls at? And I'm like, oh, I've barely got any, so it's fine. I'll just go through.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I just need a few more and then I'll level up. I'll
So-
just go and
So doing the fun thing, like exploring and seeing all the cool stuff. You're gonna go back to where
I'll just go back.
where you're really
kill it-
overpowered.
No,
kill the
it's fine.
same monsters
Kill a
over and
couple of
over
monsters,
again.
then get my level up and then go back to that area. So I'm going in there without worrying about losing souls because I don't want to be worrying about losing souls.
Doesn't that feel contrary to like a fun experience though?
No.
To me, like the game is like saying, make sure that you have no risk before you go in here.
It is a risky game though. You
But
are
then it
being at risk.
incentivizes you to not take risk. it
No,
does-
you can take risks.
Oh, you can, but you're incentivized against it. Like what I'm saying is,
The risk is part of it.
what
Though.
you're-
The
what you're-
risk is part of it. Like you can be in the halfway through a dungeon that you don't know, and you've got a lot of souls, and
Yeah.
it feels like,
Sure.
oh man, this is like, this is like a
Ramping up.
dangerous thing. It just adds to the danger. And then when you get through that, you're like, holy hell, that was like, what a fantastic rush,
okay,
Yeah.
you can get the same exact experience with a health bar.
Sure, there is a health bar.
No, but what I'm saying is, imagine you couldn't recover health.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But
the
then-
same experience.
I don't know what we're arguing about then.
Right. I mean, I don't want to get too bogged down in it because there's other things. Like we could talk about the fact that you said that like you want to level up, and if you level up, do you really know what you're spending your points on? What are you working towards? You don't really know unless
Well, you figure that out at some point.
Okay.
You sort of find, well, for me, because I started off as the wretch, I just sort of found my build. If you start off with one of the main, one of the sort of like,
yeah, but then you
other
find
classes,
a different weapon.
You kind of, yeah, but don't like if you're starting off as a wizard,
Yeah.
stay in your lane, stay as a wizard.
Okay.
Respect later.
You can respect later, yeah.
The spell casting in that game. It was such a bummer
Why was it a bummer?
because you don't get any good spells for so long. You get you start off with like 2 spells.
Yeah.
And one of them is like the best spell you're gonna get for 2 full bosses at least. And then it's like you get one other spell, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I have my build now. And then it's just about finding better staffs. The staffs don't do anything other than make your spells a little bit better. And that's the whole build.
Well, I don't know what you want, Nick.
He wants Zelda.
I think you just want Zelda.
I want a fun game. Do you want to talk about a fun game?
Zelda?
Should we talk about a fun game?
Yes. All right.
Should we talk about Yakuza? Okay, Yakuza games, they're not that hard, to be honest, but they're really fun. They incentivize exploration. The world is much smaller, right? But it feels way better to explore, in my opinion.
Okay, what's a hard game that you enjoy?
That's a good question.
What's a game that you play or you have played that is punishing but enjoyable for you?
FTL?
What's that?
FTL is a turn-based roguelite from, I want to say, like 2006, maybe? Probably after that, actually. Probably close to like 2009.
It was big. It was big at the time.
It was big at the
It
time?
was real big at the time. Looked stressful. I didn't want to play it. rather play Dark Souls.
But it's punishing. There's random events.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes the events are mean to you.
What's the punishing part?
You don't know what you're gonna see, right? You go to a location and it might be someone gives you a bunch of stuff, or it might be someone attacks you. You don't really know where it's a roguelite. So it's
like Elden Ring. You don't know what you're gonna get.
In Elden Ring, you
You don't.
you either know exactly what you're gonna get because someone's written it down, or the thing you don't know what you're going to get is going to instantly kill you.
Not always.
Which is whereas for what I would call a good game,
Oh.
you have an opportunity to respond.
It just sounds like you're bad at Elden Ring.
I beat it.
He beat it. Yeah.
I mean, you can beat a game but not be good at it.
Okay, sure. I'm bad at Elden Ring, but it still doesn't make it a good game.
I think the thing is Elden Ring just didn't click with you the way it did for other people. And the things that you say are bad is the things that people love about it. They love
Fine.
instantly dying to something that they
That's
didn't
fine.
expect. They love
You know what?
opening a chest and then being teleported to another part of the world. I liked that.
so bad.
There's a lot, like all
But
these things I really liked.
but oh my
But I
god,
also
teleporting really bothers me.
I liked
so
it.
much.
I liked it so much because it's like, oh my god, where am I? This is like such a bizarre thing, and I just had to escape it.
Okay, but okay, we've talked about this in the past.
I know, we're going around in circles.
I'll reiterate it. Let's say instead of getting teleported to Farum Azula,
Yeah,
like in the first 20 minutes of the game or whatever it is,
Mhm.
like instead of getting teleported to like near the final dungeon
yep.
and getting an item, getting stuck and having to like go back somehow,
Mhm.
I feel like you just had to die, which is an annoying thing. Anyway, what if instead you got to Farum Azula legitimately?
hmm
And then it's like, wow, where am I? You still got that experience,
Yeah.
except it hasn't been undercut by getting like a little sneak preview.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's maybe they're just like most people don't finish this game, so we're going to give them a little taste early on.
Well, there's like the chest that teleports you to the mine inside in Caelid.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I
I
hated
first
that.
got into that mine. I was like, "Whoa, what the hell is this place?"
Yeah.
And I went through it, and I got out to Caelid. And I was like, "Whoa, what the hell is this
Yeah,
place?"
Sure.
And I was like, "Where am I?" And I opened
Yeah.
up the map, and I couldn't tell.
Yep.
And for me, that was really exciting
That's
because then I was like, "Holy shit, this is a whole another part of the map I haven't seen, and I want to explore all over here."
Yeah, but you were probably already doing something in the previous part of the map. You probably were like, I'm going to just check out this cave, and then I'm going to go over here.
I mean,
and
I'm-
then instead of
yeah.
checking out this cave, now you're in a different part of the world.
Yep.
And it's significantly higher level, surrounded by poisoned water. There's like dragons everywhere that want.
That was exciting.
Okay, but what if you had walked there?
Less
instead?
exciting.
you do eventually
You do eventually.
walk
can,
there,
yeah.
and then you're like, oh man, it's this place that I saw in that crazy.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is what it is.
Yeah,
That's the
no,
experience.
that's like, oh, I'm here. This is where it is.
No.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I think those things are exciting, especially on your first playthrough blind. And that happened to me. I was like, "Holy shit, what happened?"
Yeah.
And I thought that was really neat because games don't take risks like that. Games hold your hand too much these
What are you
days.
talking about? This game took that risk.
Huh?
Elden Ring took that risk.
Yeah, but other
And I-
games don't. Other games hold your hand way too much.
Mm.
And I'm kind of sick of games that constantly have to tutorialize and hold your hand all the time.
That's fine. I'm not saying. I don't think these are absolutes.
Mm.
I don't think it's games either give you way too much tutorial or no tutorial at all. I'm saying there's a middle ground. There's actually a very broad middle ground, and you can have a really good time in that middle ground. A much better time, in my opinion. But that's fine. It's my opinion. I'm going to say it's the only right opinion.
If there's one thing I would change about Elden Ring, I would probably just remove leveling up. I think it's more exciting when you find weapons and you want to try those weapons
Mhm.
rather than, oh shit, I found the staff.
Yep.
And I can't use it.
I think you made a really good point. Leveling up in that game does nothing but make the game easier.
That's what makes Zelda really good. You find a new weapon, you're like, holy shit, this is
Yeah.
cool. I can use this.
Isn't this what you? So I mentioned this in when I was last time talking about Elder Scrolls Online, and I said that you can go anywhere in the world,
Mm.
and you were like, I don't like that. But essentially, that's
That's
what
not
you're
what I
talking
said.
about.
I said having things scale with your level makes leveling pointless.
But oh, sure, but you're
Never
okay.
thought
Yeah,
of
sure,
it.
but you don't. Yeah, I get you. But I think that the ability to go anywhere
Yep.
is more interesting than just leveling up.
Sure.
Yep.
Like
But-
that's what
but-
excites me more, and like that is what would excite me more in Elden Ring. If you could just like explore basically everywhere, knowing that you'll still encounter challenges, but you won't encounter a challenge that just like, oh, I'm not supposed to be in this area, because that has a very like classic MMO style of like, okay, I do the
I
start
can't progress
area.
right now.
This is like this level to this level. The next area is this level to this level.
Yep.
But if you could explore basically anywhere, still getting challenges, that is
So-
more fun to me.
The reason they haven't done that in Elden Ring, I would guess, is because they don't want players to just race off to the hard parts and do them.
True.
They want players
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have to grind,
Yeah.
which is a bummer. I did grinding in that game because it was like for the exact same reason you did, Blake. It was like I'm like 90% of the way to a level. I don't want to lose the
Yeah.
150,000 souls or whatever I've
Mm.
got, so I'm gonna have to kill
Yep.
these 20 guys 4 more times.
There's also a thing of I forgot to mention while I was talking about that is that you do get those souls in your inventory,
Yep.
your actual inventory, and you can pop those. So I ended up doing a lot of that, where I was like, oh, I'm just like pop a few of those, and then
Yep.
I get the level. So I'm
Yep.
not. I could avoid a lot of grinding that way.
What an annoying thing to do, though. By the way, having to pop those, you have to
You're popping
Put-
if you're popping a
put
load
them-
of them, it's like
put them in your inventory, use them
Yep.
from the gameplay screen. By the way, you can't pause the game.
no online game, even when it's offline.
It's so dumb. Anyway,
We've talked enough about this.
Yeah.
Listeners, can you tell us if you're getting sick of us spending a year talking about
you know,
Elden
they
Ring?
keep bringing up Elden Ring, and I keep having issues with it. I haven't played it in ages, but every time I hear about it, I'm like, you know what? There was this other thing that really bugged me. All right. Why don't we talk about? Well, we've got some other questions, but why don't we talk a little bit about some of the things we've been playing?
What we've
I've been playing
actually Yeah.
Yakuza. I don't remember what I was up to last time, but I've now beaten Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 1, Yakuza Kiwami 2. I've played a
Wow.
little bit of Yakuza 6, and I've instead decided to jump straight into Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is, I
Nice.
guess, Yakuza 7.
Kind of like the reboot of the franchise.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
new protagonist, new gameplay style, new
Mm.
location.
New location.
Yes. Although,
It's still Japan.
yeah, but instead of going to Kamurocho, which
Yeah.
is, I guess, a place called Kamuro and Tokyo mixed together or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
You go to Yokohama,
Okay.
which is a different part of Japan.
Right.
And I think at some point, I haven't gotten there yet, but I think at some point you probably do go back to Kamurocho because the game starts in Kamurocho. You do your first chapter there.
Yep.
That game is great. It's turn-based, and typically I am
Yeah.
I am ambivalent about turn-based games. It has to have a really interesting system for me to want to stick with it. I struggle with Pokemon games at this point.
Did you finish Persona?
No, I might at some point go back to it,
Mm.
but like that's a game, for example, where the system's reasonably interesting, but I
Mm.
started getting bored because it's just
Were you bored with the combat or just the story and how? Because you were saying there's a lot of story in
Yeah.
between the actual what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Persona's a weird one. There are pacing issues,
Mm-hmm.
like you're talking about. There's also like anxiety issues. Like so there's time pressure in that game constantly.
Hmm.
You have a set number of days between each of these major events
Yep.
to do like things that will sort of prepare you for that event. And to like build relationships with other characters and do quests and get
Mm.
items and make money, etc. And if it feels like you're spending that time inefficiently, it feels really bad.
Yeah,
because
I
there's no
get
way
you.
to go back and
You want to do
redo
the
it.
optimal amount of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that there's like there are people who have written down optimal paths. I don't want
That's
to
not
read.
fun.
I don't want to read a guide and
Yeah.
do exactly what they say.
Mm.
I want to do the thing that feels natural. But if it feels like I'm being punished for doing the thing that I want to do, that's a bad time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm maybe about halfway through that game. I might go back to it at some point.
Halfway
but-
through, what are you like? 150 hours in?
So, probably about like 60 would be my guess. The Yakuza has maybe the opposite problem, where even when it's like it's really urgent music is playing, I can run over and manage a business.
Is that a little bit of what do you call?
ludonarrative disconnect?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if between the two options, I would prefer that one for a game
Yeah, sure.
for my personality.
Yeah.
But
Because it's not punishing you. It's just that story-wise, you feel like it's a little...
it's a little silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, that whole game is a little silly.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
You can just manage a property business while
Yeah.
in the middle of like...
And you know what? It really ramps up the silliness because when I'm managing the business, one of the people I've got employed at the business is a chicken. Right? So it's fine. And another guy is like a baseball player.
Oh, wow.
So again, it's fine.
They're two classic characters.
Yeah. But that game has so much going on in just the one town.
Yep.
The town, the new area is huge, at least by their standards. Maybe it's a similar size to the original city, but I know that city inside out at this point because I did 3 games with it.
You said there were new like it's the same city, but there are other like levels, like this door is open now or
Yes.
whatever, or these I could go up these
in,
stairs.
In the other Yakuza games, each time I played, the city would get a little bit denser, I would say.
Yeah,
Like, suddenly you could go inside certain hallways or doors or
Yeah.
climb stairs that you couldn't do before, and there were secrets and all sorts of stuff. Definitely some of that is going on in this game, although it's like I said, it's a new city, so even if there wasn't that, it would feel novel. But the turn-based combat in that game is really fun, and even when I get bored of it, there's a button I could hit to make it play automatically.
What?
Yeah, which is perfect. Because it's like, okay, I'm in a battle with like my character's level 20, these guys are level 9.
Oh, so it's an autocomplete.
So I hit the shoulder button and they do their auto attacks or whatever, and it's over.
Yep, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't have to mash buttons.
It's good for when you encounter those low level ones and you're just like, I know I'm going to win. Just
or even if I just don't want to have to think.
Yeah.
And they're not going to necessarily play optimally.
Yep.
They're going to make weird choices sometimes.
Does it give you a sort of percentage of chance to win or anything like that before you enter?
No, because like these are people walking around in the street. And
Yeah.
But even if when I'm actively playing, there's interesting choices and timing choices to make, even in a turn-based battle. So, like at its most obvious level, if I'm getting attacked, I can press the B button to do a perfect guard and reduce the damage I take. That's like a simple thing. There's like magic attacks. There's some that you mash X to like get bonus damage, or time a Y press to get some bonus damage. Again, basic things. But then there's like the characters are kind of constantly kind of drifting around, and there are some attacks that will damage enemies in an area, and so I can sort of wait for them to drift together and then try and time the attack to get extra damage.
Yeah.
Or if there's just stuff on the road, like there's someone's parked a bike, or there's a bench, or there's a traffic cone. If my character is near some of these things, they might like kick it at the enemy during their attack, or they might pick it up and use it as a weapon. And so there's timing choices about that. I don't get to control their movement, so they're just kind of aimlessly drifting back and forth.
Yeah.
But if I decide, oh, he's in front of a traffic cone now, I'm gonna do my auto attack and hope he picks it up. That is a choice I can make.
Yeah.
So it's like a really fun, satisfying system. And when it isn't feeling all very fun and satisfying, I just press the shoulder button and let it go.
Yep. That's cool.
There's jobs, and all the jobs, it's like a classic RPG job style. But the jobs are funny and silly. So like one of my guys is a breakdancer. That's his job. And so all of the skills are breakdancing.
Oh, cool.
One of them's a musician, so he plays the guitar and sings badly. One of them is like a lady of the night. So she's wearing some wild outfit and hitting them with a whip. One of them is a clerk. So she has like a box cutter. That's her weapon.
Oh my god.
And she throws like thumbtacks. It's real weird and silly.
Yeah.
There's like bouncers. There's like a hero class.
It's like, what are the jobs that modern city people have, and let's make them
transpose them onto a classic fantasy RPG setting. Yes, exactly right. Like the classic sort of cleric is a hobo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The first character you kind of buddy, well, I guess the second character you buddy up with is a homeless guy, and his weapon is an umbrella, so it looks like a crooked cane.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And like he does healing and
That's-
and he throws bird seed on an enemy, and the enemy gets swarmed by birds.
Yeah.
And that's like his magic ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really funny and clever.
Yeah.
And like the theme for the main character, when he was a kid, he played lots of Dragon Quest.
Yep.
And he wanted to be a hero when he grew up.
Oh yeah.
And so they play into that really hard.
Ah.
And that's so you get like little game sounds
Mm.
when you get a quest or whatever. Like they kind of lean into the fact that within the game he's playing a game.
Funny. Okay.
And he starts hallucinating what enemies are.
Oh my god.
So like you run into a businessman,
yeah.
and then suddenly the businessman is kind of ogreish,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
like a corporate capitalist, and that's his monster title. He's
Oh
like
my
a
God.
capitalist punisher or something
Yeah.
like that. And it's weird and wacky, and I'm having a great time. There's a Mario Kart mini game with power ups and rings that you pick up,
Yep.
and you shoot other people in cars.
Oh my god.
There's the business management mini game.
Yep.
There's tons of different gambling options.
Mm.
It's just it's a bunch of stuff. It's really fun.
It's just packed in there.
Yeah. So really enjoying that game. I've been trying to get Blake to play any Yakuza game.
I've installed
If
Yakuza
you play
0.
any, you should play that one.
I kind
Reckon?
of agree.
Yeah.
The problem is like if you don't like turn based, it is a turn based.
I like turn-based. I actually do like turn-based.
Yeah.
Your whole gaming thing is you are the turn-based guy.
Yeah.
You manage everything, and it's on a turn.
Yeah. I do like turn-based because I haven't played it, but I'm like skeptical about like the some of the Final Fantasies that have the more like action
Yeah.
style combat,
Mm.
and I'm like, can we just go back to the early 2000s?
Well, see,
and the 90s.
Yakuza 0 is a brawler.
Yeah.
It is just you button mash.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's pretty
But that's fine. I
it's
know what
pretty
I'm in
simple.
for with that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, this would be better as a turn-based. It's
Yeah.
like, that does sound fun to me. I'm getting like a little bit of a stick of truth vibe.
Yeah.
Where they're all sort of like,
yeah. That's a good
Yeah.
analogy.
Yeah.
It's like Japanese stick of truth. It's irreverent.
yeah,
It's funny, but it also, unlike Stick of Truth, which is just kind of wacky South Park humor the whole time,
yeah.
this
It's
drifts
very
into
Japanese.
like melodrama.
Oh, okay.
You know, there are characters that die, there are characters
Yeah.
that murder and get murdered.
Yep.
There's like grief and
Mm.
horror and
Mhm.
stress and pressure and
Mhm.
like political intrigue. There are characters you feel really bad for.
Oh.
There's shock and value, and like there's good storytelling through a lot of it. So I'm really enjoying it.
So you're saying that one is a good one to come in without playing any of the others?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Because it is a brand new protagonist. There are references to previous games.
Yep.
But you'll be fine without them.
So it's really a soft reboot of the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. Some of the references are really subtle as well.
Mhm.
Like spoilers for anybody who's playing the old ones. Do you want me to spoil some stuff, Blake?
Sure.
In like Yakuza 0/1/2, etc. You're playing like a character part of a certain Yakuza family, and the captain of that family is this guy who has a big scar across his face,
Mm.
and you find him in Like a Dragon.
Mm.
He's just running a bar.
Wow.
That's it.
Regular
That's
guy.
the reference.
Whoa.
He's just running a bar. He does it as a hobby. He doesn't really like having customers there. He just enjoys running the bar.
Is he playing his own game and this is just one of the side mini games that he's involved
It's
in?
his own game.
yeah.
This is Business Simulator.
Yeah.
But like I noticed it because he has this really identifiable
Yeah.
scar, and he's like he's a character in these other games. You'd play that
That's
game, and
neat.
you'd be like, okay, he's just a
But
character.
then if I go back and play the other games, I'm
You'd be
like,
like,
oh
"Oh,
my
that's
god,
the
it's that
bartender."
guy. Yeah.
What's the bartender doing over
Yeah.
here? Really, really good. I'm enjoying
Cool.
those a lot. I'm
Cool.
very excited. I've got Infinite Wealth to look forward to,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a good chance I will buy Pirate Yakuza.
You are really. I never picked this series as being like
I didn't
something
either.
that really just took.
I
you.
think the thing is, it appeals to my sense of humor and storytelling.
Yeah.
And the city they build is like just fun to explore.
Yeah. I think there is you like that what's that every New Year's they have the thing with the Japanese
Gaki no
community.
Tsukai.
And I
Yes.
think you really like stoic Japanese people in ridiculous circumstances.
I mean, though, to be fair, they aren't stoic Japanese people. They are comedians.
Yeah.
And I love comedians making each other laugh and being punished for it.
But in that particular
that's
show, they
fantastic.
have to not laugh. And so they're
Yes.
often very like trying to stay straight faced when just
But they're-
insanity is happening around
They're not
them.
just trying to stay straight faced. They're trying to make each other laugh as well because for them to get punished, it's fun. But I mean, Japanese culture is very interesting. There's things I don't agree with about it. You know, it's very patriarchal,
Mm.
and that really comes across in these games.
Oh, yeah.
All of the male characters are grizzled and have interesting faces. They have massive pores. They have facial hair. They have moles and scars and thinning hair and blah blah blah. Like,
They have character to them.
exactly.
Yep, yep.
And
And all the women are just beautiful, attractive.
faultless. You
Yep.
can't see a single pore on their face. They're all skinny. They're all. It is a classic.
Yep.
Like you'd have a hard time telling them apart because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
all smooth.
Or are there do they do the thing where there's only two types of women, like stunningly beautiful young women or horrendously old women?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, there's a whole quest in one of the Yakuza games.
Yeah.
Might be Yakuza 0, called the Obitarian, and it's like an 80-year-old woman who hits on your character in an egregious way, and your character's just like, leave me alone, and she's like, what? Police, and she's like really awful.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're on the money.
Yeah. I always find that funny. There's no in between.
What's really funny is, so in Gaki no Tsukai, they had a character, it was the grandmother character,
Yeah.
who looks like the character they put in Yakuza. I actually think maybe they modeled her off
Oh, wow.
because they use real actors for a lot of these, and they do
Yeah.
a lot of mocap.
Oh, that's cool.
Some of the performances are really good.
Yeah.
Um,
Do they do like facial capture? No, I mean like that model it off their face?
yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't think that looking at some of the faces. They seem too
It's not for every
Anime.
character.
Yeah.
But in Yakuza 0, for example,
Yeah.
like sort of the 3 or 4 main enemies
Yeah.
all are like famous-ish in
Okay.
Japan actors.
Yeah. Is it obvious that this person is modeled after a real human?
Sometimes
Yeah.
it is. Usually because they have really clear, distinct like facial animations
Yeah.
because it's been mocapped to a real face.
Yeah.
And sometimes just because like the main character is a little too cool or a little there's a slightly anime
Yep.
twinge to
Yep,
it or
yep.
something. You know what I mean?
I think we talked about that with Cyberpunk, that you'd encounter random people and be like, this person seems extra special for just a random side character.
Right.
And then they're like a famous streamer or someone like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They put has some extra work put into
Yeah,
that face.
yeah.
Anyway, really enjoying it.
That's good. I might actually get that one.
Yep.
You've
Good.
talked me into it.
Good.
That's
You
my
should do it.
entrance into this series, I
I'm
think.
stoked for you.
Even though
honestly.
I've installed Yakuza 0 and it's
Yeah.
been sitting on my desktop for like 3 weeks.
Yakuza 0 is really good too.
I know it's good. I
Like-
know they're all good. You don't have to convince me that they're good. The problem is I'm an adult with a full-time job. You know, what I really need to do is just go back to being a high school kid
Yeah.
and have nothing but free time.
Yeah.
But that's just life.
Yeah. The other game I've been playing, I only bought it and I've only played a few hours of it, but it's TCG Shop Manager, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or store manager. You're running a trading card store. You have a location.
Yep.
The first things you're doing is like putting some product on a shelf, putting a table in so that people can play, and then you do have to stand behind the till and like give change,
Oh my god.
and like it's kind of annoying.
Yep.
You can set prices and stuff. I think the thing that makes this game a little more interesting. Eventually, I think you can hire people and you can run tournaments and all sorts of stuff. But you can also open packs of cards. And like they have rarities, like you can see all the cards. They have rarities, and then you can set a table up to sell individual cards.
Whoa.
So like I got a card that's worth almost $2,000, and that's a lot because you start off with $1,000.
Oh wow. Whoa.
So it's like, oh, this is, if anybody buys this, I'm set.
Can you only sell it for $2,000 or
No, you can set the price.
Oh,
So
neat.
you could put it way up,
Yeah,
and no one will
yeah.
buy it.
Yeah.
Or you could put it below market rate, and someone might buy it a little bit quicker. It's interesting.
Do people come in selling cards?
Good question. Not yet.
And you have to be like, you have to look at a really rare card that's worth $5,000 and be like, these are pretty common, $100.
Hasn't happened yet, but I wouldn't rule it out. I know that the roadmap has a bunch of stuff on it.
So what do the
it's early
NPCs do?
access. Huh?
What do
That's
the
early
NPCs do?
What do the NPCs do?
Yeah, so they come in and you watch them play cards and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, watching them play cards is a loose way to tell it. You watch them holding cards in their hand and a bunch of face down cards on the table, and you see them sort of play some animations,
Right.
looking upset or happy about what's happening.
But it's early access then.
Early access.
So they'll
So your
there's a
perfect
lot-
game.
Yeah.
They they walk in, they pull stuff off the shelf, they comment on if it's expensive or not.
Yep.
Sometimes people have stink clouds.
Oh, nice.
And your store gets reviewed, and most of my bad reviews have been, this place stinks.
Oh my god. What do you do about that?
Well, I just bought some aerosol spray, which I've stocked on the shelves, but I could also take it off the shelves to spray people.
Just spray people.
Yeah, to make them stink less. And then when you do it enough, they get sparkly.
Oh my
They're-
god.
they're-
You
they're
need to
clean.
burn some incense. That's what you do. Just get some incense, burn them.
Yeah, I mean, if that's an option, I'll do it.
That's the way to go.
No,
No smoke detectors though.
No.
So
obviously not. I've taken all those.
you
out
gotta
of the store
your
immediately.
house your shop will be a fire hazard, but oh
But
my
it will
god,
smell great.
Smell great.
Smell great right up until the fire.
Yeah. Well, the fire will smell great too
Yeah,
because of all the incense.
There's probably a lot of plastic in those cards.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. We are probably
Yeah, we're out of time.
right? Well, I'll just mention for the next podcast, I've been playing a game that is called Vargris: The Riven Realms, and it is a post-apocalyptic caravan management text adventure,
Okay.
and it's great.
I'm excited to
And
hear
we'll
about
talk
it.
about that next time.
Sweet. Well, if you want to hear about that, you should email frenzyquestion@gmail.com and say, Blake, reminder. And that's all.
Yep.
Just Blake reminder, and he'll know what that means. You can also comment that on our YouTube page or on our Facebook page or any of the places.
All the places.
Give us a review. Tell your friends about us. Send us more questions. We'll answer them more of them next time. We got a few more that I didn't get to, but boy, Elden Ring always sidetracks me.
Elden Ring, I mean,
That took some time.
yeah, we did start this year with me joking that, oh man, this year we should just like torture Nick with Elden Ring.
And sure
turned
enough,
out we did.
we'll be back in a couple weeks. Bye.
I didn't like Big Ambitions.
No,
That game, I don't know. It's just
it was too fiddly.
yeah,
And
yeah.
because when you don't want to do the manual labor in a management sim.
It was too micromanaging.
Yes.
you know.
It wasn't micromanaging because you're not managing anything for the first like half of that.
Well, that's
The
true.
first-
You're just
first
doing the
few
job,
hours of that you were literally mopping floors.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
and it's just like this rinse repeat for days and days
Yes.
and days. And then my guy would get like depressed, and I'd just sit in the park for an hour.
You know,
It's like that seems more depressing to me. Like, what do you do for fun? I sit in the park for an hour.
just stare off into the middle
Yeah,
distance.
and it's just sitting there, and
contemplating
I'll like
things.
speed up time, and it's like people walking by and stuff, and he's just sitting like that, staring into the
bawling into his
Yeah.
hands in public.
It's not like I was like,
What do you do for fun? Just to cry for help.
just a cry for help. Like, I don't know if they've got like because you can buy stuff for your house.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that equals to the like less depression.
Money doesn't buy happiness.
Like going like buying a
stuff
big
does.
like buying a big
Money buys stuff.
yeah, like buying a big TV, and so like when you get home, you're like, oh, my depression is like getting lifted because of this like big TV and all my
I'm so sad after work, but look at the size of that fucking TV.
yeah. I mean, that's just full capitalism, isn't it? You just turn on the TV, and it's like just ads about
Stimulate
buying.
me. I don't want to think about my miserable life. Just distract me.
Don't think about your life.
I just on a whim because it came up in like Steam recommended games. I bought TCG Shop Simulator.
Oh yeah, that's been all over Steam, eh?
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think it just came out last month. I think.
Yeah, it's just like popping up
But
in the main.
Oh, so
It's
you
an early access game.
Oh,
You're gonna
so
love it.
you're-
It's a management game. You're gonna
you're
love it.
running a what, Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, although at least so far it's fake Pokemon cards,
Right, I get you.
and it's there's fun elements.
Yeah.
It's certainly an interesting take. We can talk about it on the podcast
Yep.
if you want.
That's interesting.
And obviously I've been playing a ton of Yakuza. Yeah. And it sounds like you've played Yakuza.
I played Infinite Wealth.
Okay, that's the most recent one.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, Like a Dragon.
Okay.
The first one where they go real RPG.
Yes.
Where it's less brawler in
yes.
the streets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you play any of the previous ones?
Nope.
Interesting. Okay. What made you jump in the Yakuza bandwagon then?
I didn't buy it, so I just played it. I was sharing it through my friend's Steam account.
Did you finish it?
Nope.
Okay. How far did you get?
Probably about halfway.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly halfway. But yeah, good game.
It's
It's a good.
It's really good.
It's like a really good hybrid between just like tension and comedy constantly.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it doesn't take itself seriously, which is good.
Except for when it does.
Except
and
for when it does.
Executes the serious
Yeah.
moments pretty effectively. Like, so there's some pretty shocking violence.
Ah.
Um,
But it does that thing, right, where it takes a silly thing very serious sometimes, right? Like those baby men seem very serious about being baby men.
yes. Yes, I did. I sent him screenshots of
Yeah.
with the baby formula quest.
Yeah.
Where you have to go and get some hot water from a cafe, and then it's a bunch of diaper fetishists.
Yeah.
Which it's the same crew from the first Yakuza where they show up as diaper fetishists.
Oh, this is them again.
Same crew.
Oh, I thought it was okay.
Same, and but in this time the first time you kind of lecture them about not everyone is into your fetish. Stop pushing your fetish on everyone, and that's the moral of that quest.
Yep.
And in this one, the moral of the quest is you don't know anything about babies, except they're lecturing you. They're lecturing you about, or they're lecturing the NPC you're working with about how hard it is to take care of a baby. They say, they need to be fed all the time. They sleep at weird hours. Sometimes they wake up crying and you have no idea why, and how to fix it.